Welcome back. You're tuned into Power Breakfast here on CNBC TV 18. Well, let's pull a couple of markets. Remember, the Japanese index today is shut. They have a public holiday. But let's pull up a couple of those other markets and let's see how they're doing. Remember, for starters, we look at those markets. Some of them had opened up with a bit of a cut. The Shanghai market, that's reopening after many sessions, as well as the Hang Seng. Both of them, well, they're opening up more or less flattish or with a bit of a negative bias as well. The SGX Nifty, though, when we started off the show, was indicating a 20-point cut to kickstart trade. Now it's indicating a 40-point downtake or 30-point downtake just to kickstart trade. So let's keep an eye out on that mark. But let's get back to earnings then. And, so much of bad news this morning. Mahindra & Mahindra cutting their guidance. Sun TV, that's a stock that'll be in focus. The numbers look quite good, actually. Valuation-wise as well, after the sharp correction that you've seen, it does support the stock. Nupur's with us to run us through all the key highlights. Hey Nupur, good morning.
Good morning, Nigel. Sun TV actually reported a good set of numbers for the third quarters, which were above the street expectations. Revenue grew by 32%. We were expecting a number of 19%. Operating margin improved to 73% from 72%. And profit grew by 32%. We were working with a number of only 21%. But it is to be noted that depreciation also went up by 54% and other income that went up by 75%. Ad revenue was led by revenue growth was led by ad revenues, which grew by 13%. Our poll was 9 to 11%, and while subscription revenue that grew by 24%. Over the con call, management guided double-digit ad revenue growth and 20% subscription revenue growth for the FY20. And but remember, the main concern for the company is loss of market share. So in Q1 FY17, the loss of market share was around 60%. Now it has come down to 39%. But Motilal maintains buy rating with a target price of rupees 750. Let's see how the stock reacts with the good numbers and the positive management guidance.
All right, Nupur, thanks a lot. We'll see how the stock reacts today. The numbers look really good. But India Cements, that will also be reporting its quarter 3 numbers today. Nigel, what are we expecting?
Well, we keep an eye on the numbers in terms of valuations. The stock is very, very attractively priced. But what's the use if you have an aggressive, such an attractively priced stock, but it's not going to deliver numbers? This quarter as well, no different. We're expecting, in fact, the top line to grow by around 8.5% or thereabouts. The operating profit, though, will degrow by around 13%. Now, that would lead to margin compression of around 250 to around 300 basis points or thereabouts. Now, let's get to the numbers. The sales numbers expected up 8.5–9%, so that will come up for you on the screen. The operating profit will degrow. That would mean a margin compression, and the profit number will be all over the place. Our poll threw up a number of around 3 crores. Why do we see a 9% growth on the top line? That's primarily because of sales volumes. That should come in higher by close to around 5%, a little more than 3 million tons. So that's what supports, the top line. And in addition to that, remember, the volumes in South India have not been a problem because demand has been quite healthy out there. If you're just adjusting for, the top line, then you'll see realization should be marginally higher on a year-on-year basis. But margins will be compressed. Why? Because prices have corrected on a sequential basis. So that's not very, very good news. And second factor is that input costs as well have come in higher. But more than the numbers, we're almost halfway through the fourth quarter of this year. We'll be keeping an eye out for management commentary. Is there any kind of debt reduction? And more importantly, they've recently taken a price increase just around a week or 2 weeks ago. Has that sustained? Or, have we seen that price hike getting rolled back?
All right, we'll be watching out for India Cement stock today. But let's move on and talk about the pharma space. Dr. Reddy's and Lupin will be in focus today, as both the companies will be reacting to observations received on their respective plants. Ekta, take us through the details.
Well, yes, negative news definitely, which is coming for both Dr. Reddy's, actually for Dr. Reddy's, not so much for Lupin. So the news with regards to Lupin is that their Goa facility, which is obviously under warning letter since November 2017, along with the Pithampur Unit 2, has received 2 observations. Remember that it was being inspected since maybe a week, 10 days, and the company did confirm it to investors during their Q3 call that they didn't know the outcome, but the inspection was underway. Now we know that they received 2 observations for that particular inspection. Now, obviously, the street would want to see what the nature of those 2 observations are, because 2 observations are enough to make it quite severe for a company to solve the problems. But the fact that that there are only 2 observations, the street might be a little positive incrementally about it, you know, with the thought process that there are only 2 observations, and hence maybe things are resolvable with the Goa plant for lupin. However, it really depends on what those two observations are, which we've seen in the past. The first observation can contain multiple observations, so we just need to wait for that. And the second point is that Dr. Reddy's Bachupalli plant, which is a formulation unit in Hyderabad, has received 11 observations. Now that is negative news, because this particular plant had in the past, April 2017, received 11 observations. That, however, got resolved. But 11 means that maybe the street would be concerned. The number of observations are large, and the problem is that this plant is the most important unit for Dr. Reddy's. Around 45% of their US sales are currently coming from the Bachupalli unit. So I think that would definitely be a concern for Dr. Reddy's.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Ekta. Well, we'll slip into a short break. You come back, we'll get you all the cues to watch from the derivatives market. Stay with us.